This video contains content that may be confronting.
More disturbing details have emerged about Jeffrey Epstein's links to the rich and powerful after the US Justice Department published millions of fresh documents related to the late sex trafficker. Our North America correspondent, Cayman Gock, is in Washington. Good morning, Cayman. What can you tell us about this?
Well, the fallout continues. Democrats are accusing the Department of Justice of a cover-up. We now have members of Congress calling to see the files unredacted as early as today. We know that authorities were investigating Epstein's inner circle in the 2000s and had plans to charge at least 3 other co-conspirators. That didn't end up happening. Those details were redacted. We also know that there are witness statements from survivors of abuse to the FBI in this most recent tranche. Again, the details around the alleged abuse and who those people may be have been redacted. Meanwhile, though, some of the actual survivors of abuse, their identities and information was not redacted. So there has been a lot of outrage from different sectors of the community, Democrats, some Republicans, and many survivors about how this has been handled by the Department of Justice. There were thousands of mentions of high-profile individuals in this most recent tranche. We saw allegations from Epstein claiming that Bill Gates got a sexually transmitted disease from Russian girls. A spokesperson for Bill Gates said that that claim was absolutely absurd and completely false. There are allegations from unverified tips to the FBI about a rape and sexual abuse by Donald Trump, as well as claims that he and former President Bill Clinton attended orgy parties. Now, both men have denied any wrongdoing, and there is no accusation of wrongdoing by law enforcement in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. The Department of Justice did say that there would be some false information released in this enormous dump and said that the claims against the president are unfounded and are false. So it's important to note that simply appearing or being named in this enormous tranche of more than 3 million pages of documents doesn't imply any wrongdoing, and the ABC is not suggesting that. But there are also Australian former prime ministers and politicians mentioned in these documents, and that includes in a text exchange with Jeffrey Epstein and former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon claims that he got Clive Palmer to do the $60 million anti-China and climate change ads, and that's referencing, of course, to the 2019 federal election campaign. Now, we've received a statement from Clive Palmer's office, and they said that Clive Palmer has never spoken to Bannon. The ABC is not implying any wrongdoing and doesn't have any evidence of Palmer ever communicating with Bannon or Epstein either. But what these documents highlight is how Epstein tried to court influence of powerful individuals, tried to seek information about the rich and powerful, and we see in these documents his connections with powerful Republicans, powerful Democrats, overseas politicians and rich businessmen. And we also see in these documents shocking revelations of the crimes he and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell committed, as well as allegations that others committed these crimes. But a lot of that information has been redacted. So that leads us to the question is why investigators didn't follow up on those 3 alleged co-conspirators and why so much of this information has been covered from the public.
And it's also interesting to note how these documents came in are causing ripples right around the world. In the United Kingdom, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has urged Andrew, the former prince, to testify in front of US Congress. Do we think that's going to happen?
Well, there's a lot of growing pressure for him to do that, and that's because his name appears hundreds, if not thousands of times in the most recent tranche of documents. And the BBC broke allegations that a second woman has come forward alleging that Jeffrey Epstein sent her to the UK to have a sexual encounter with the former prince. It's alleged this took place in 2010. She was in her 20s at the time, and it occurred at his residence, the Royal Lodge. And her lawyer told the BBC that after she was given a tour of Buckingham Palace. Now, we also know that Virginia Giuffre, who was one of the most vocal survivors of abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and took her life last year, she alleged that in 2001, when she was 17, she had sex with the former prince as well. Now, Andrew has always denied her claims, and he's repeatedly denied any wrongdoing and any allegations against him. But again, he appears numerous times in these documents. There's a photo of him on all fours, crouched over a woman whose identity has been redacted. unredacted. There are also email exchanges with Epstein, where Jeffrey Epstein says that he's found him a beautiful Russian woman and says that, yes, she has your email and your details. Now, the ABC has reached out to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor for comment. So far, he has not responded to the most recent allegation.
If you or anyone you know was affected by this video, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14 or 1-800-RESPECT, 1-800-737-732.